Lawmakers will hold a vote tomorrow on legislation to force the release of the Epstein files. And in a stunning change of his earlier position, President Trump is now supporting the move. Last night, he wrote on social media, quote, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide. And it's time to move on from this Democrat hoax, end quote. We've got team coverage on this for you this morning. CBS News congressional reporter Taurean is on Capitol Hill. But let's begin with CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand at the White House. Natalie, good morning. So what is behind this apparent change of heart from the president?
Yeah, good morning, Errol. It is notable because heading into the weekend, the president was still calling this, a Democratic hoax, accusing Democrats of trying to push the release of all Epstein files to deflect from other things. Then we have this new social media post, which actually came after the president spoke to reporters while leaving Florida, heading back to Washington, D.C. late last night. And in it, again, he says House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because, quote, we have nothing to hide and it's time to move on. Now, in this post, he also notes that the DOJ has turned over tens of thousands of pages, though important to note that that's largely resulting from pressure from the House Oversight Committee. And he referenced this new investigation that he called for, asking the Department of Justice to look into Epstein's alleged ties to prominent Democrats, including former President Bill Clinton and also major financial institutions. Now, a Clinton spokesperson said the emails that have been released prove Clinton did nothing and knew nothing. But back to this week's vote, the president in this new post still accuses some Republicans of kind of falling into what he says is the Epstein trap. And it's clear that he's asking them to move on. He wants to talk about other issues. That was clear last night in Florida, including affordability and economy, realizing that this is not helping politically, Errol.
All right, Natalie Brand with the headline from the White House for us. Natalie, thanks. CBS News congressional reporter Taurean joins us now from Capitol Hill with more on this. Taurean, the action will be where you are this week. House GOP leaders say they plan for the Epstein vote tomorrow. So what can we expect?
Yeah, that vote isn't scheduled just yet, but Speaker Johnson, after he said he would be willing to take it to the floor vote this week, earlier than the 7-day legislative timeline that's required of a discharge petition, indicated that he would have two options here. If he goes forward through the rules process, then it goes through that committee first before he can get recommended to a final vote for the floor. That could take a little bit later. That might not be the window. We'll see what happens today. Or he could do a suspension of the rules, which means there's a higher threshold for its passage. It would need a 2/3 majority. Republican and Thomas Massie, the co-sponsor of the discharge petition, is pretty much advocating for this. He says he needs this to be veto-proof so it can, in fact, make it to the president's desk.
And Taurean, meanwhile, the rift appears to be growing between President Trump and some of his Republican allies, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, for example, MTG. Where do things stand between Trump and the Congresswoman?
Yeah, an ally is an understatement. She was his fiercest defender and supporter for the longest time. This is really the first rift we're seeing between the two, and it's pretty seismic. The president calling her Marjorie Taylor Greene, and the Congresswoman responding, saying she's been receiving death threats in light of this attack from the president, especially after he pulled his support publicly for her. But this is the president's dismissal on Air Force One to those concerns from Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Her life is in danger? Who's that?
Marjorie Taylor Greene, she says.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think her life is in danger. Frankly, I don't think anybody cares about her.
Greene was on cable news yesterday, pretty much asking for the president to tamp down this rhetoric. She also notably apologized for her own past statements, saying that she's now looking to move forward and to get away from that fiery rhetoric, Errol.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about that later this hour in our Strat Chat. Taurean on Capitol Hill. Thank you.